and welcome to Please Me. Last week, Ann Bell, who is a love, life, and sex coach, was our guest, and she talked about how she coaches her clients to have better sex lives by encouraging them to be courageous, vulnerable, and especially to communicate. Eve is on a mission to destigmatize conversations about sex and is a licensed physical therapist who treats conditions regarding sexual health. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Please relax and enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex by turning the sheets into our classroom. Today, I have the honor to bring Nate Zeleznick on the podcast as my guest, and I am so excited to pick his brain about all of the interesting things that he's been doing with his life. Nate merges ancient Javanese energy work with modern science and technology. Nate has taught this method all over the world. He is a sought-after keynote speaker and master trainer. He is committed to unlocking our dormant abilities to achieve superhuman breakthroughs. I am so excited to hear his story. So without further ado, let me introduce Nate to you. Hi, Nate. How are you today?
Well, Eve, I am doing fan-freaking-tastic on purpose, of course.
Nice.
And I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So let's start from the beginning and tell me how you struggled with bullying and with later suicidal thoughts as a child.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from outer space, as we all are, I guess. But my parents are originally from Northern California. So I have very liberal, open-minded, culturally aware and open parents who moved from Northern California and the Bay Area and later on, very far northern California. And they moved to Utah for one reason, skiing. We have such great snow. And right now it is absolutely dumping powder snow right now at my house. So This is the reason why they moved here. And the thing is in Utah, for people who are aware of Utah or have ever been here, you'll know that there is a predominant religion in the state. And interesting thing, growing up in a small mountain town, as the only kid that was not of this religion, there was a lot of physical and mental bullying that happened on a daily basis, really a daily basis, from about age 5 until I was about 16 or 15. And I could go, actually, no, I still rode the bus. So until I was 16 and got my own car and I could drive and not be around this. And so, that's the thing. When you're told every day, and pardon my French, I'm just going to speak a little French here, that you're a worthless piece of shit. And even the scout leaders tell you you're going to hell because you're not that religion, or they force you to say their prayer. I mean, there was a lot of things that as a young person shaped who I am now, yes, but I actually step into full responsibility for creating all of that because, and this is why, yes, I had some suicidal tendencies and thoughts, but out of this hardship came the most glorious thing I could ever imagine in my existence as a human being on the planet. And that was that around age 12, I started having out-of-body experiences spontaneously. So for anybody out there that's ever had this happen, and we all did as children, but most of us, the majority, have forgotten this. It's like your body becomes paralyzed, and next thing you know, your consciousness comes out of your body, and you're able to perceive in a totally different way than our physical body will allow us to. And so I would float out of my body. I would see my body sometimes. Other times I'd just skyrocket right out of the roof and I'd go travel. And I actually had a couple within the past week today, like from today. And it is such a liberating feeling where you don't have the pain, the pressure, the constriction, the limitedness of the physical body. And you feel almost like a cloud feels, where it's just expansive and there's no limit and you're floating. There's that too. Well, going through this bullying, and I also had my mother at the time, no, she's still my mother, but at that time, my mother, she had some very interesting hormonal imbalances happening. So there was also physical abuse happening at home and a lot of verbal abuse as well. Not all the time, but when it was, I mean, that's one of the most traumatic things that a child can experience is when your life giver is mean to you. And, that really messed me up in a lot of ways when it comes down to sexuality. Since we're being candid and that's what this is about.
Absolutely.
You know, my journey in that realm started off when I was about 5, and I found a friend and I found their dad's penthouse magazines, and I was like, I found out, I found out that I'm straight from very early age. I was like, yep, I like that. And the thing is, though, that I got a really conflicting message. And I think a lot of people do get this, especially if they have abuse in the household, that they want to have this beautiful relationship with someone of the same or opposite sex, however they identify. But when the person of that gender or the person that they're looking up to is not nice to them or degrades their value, then, especially as a young kid, that programs us. That, for me, it programmed me that any woman that I wanted the approval of is just going to hurt me. So as I was growing up, it was very awkward talking to girls, and I wanted nothing more than to be around all the girls. That was just like, I want to be there. But that wasn't going to happen. So, because subconsciously, there were things blocking me from wanting to, I was afraid. I was totally afraid. I wasn't afraid of rejection as much as I was actually being hurt and beaten. It's strange to think that, a 7th grade girl might do that to you. Yes, right, when you're in 7th grade. But the thing is your subconscious doesn't know the difference. And it replays these things in a way that makes it absolutely terrifying for me. I can only speak for myself. But that led to these suicidal thoughts, because I was sitting there going, no place is safe for me. I'm not safe at school. I can't talk to girls. None of them want to be around me or like me, and I'm afraid of them. I'm not afraid. I'm not safe at home. The only thing, I had only a couple friends, and they were conditional friends because I didn't go to their church. So really, the out-of-body experiences saved my life. I wouldn't be here right now if my soul, my spirit, my inner self, whatever you want to say, my subconscious had said, okay, let's take you out of this, because you need to understand that what you're experiencing right now is not anywhere near what you actually have in this world to experience, and why you're here, and what you really are as an energy that happens to have a body to have experience right here. So, did that answer your question?
Yes. And, not everybody has the physical ability to have outer body experiences. It's interesting because, you started having them so young, and it really did sort of save you from your outer physical world, because you were able to sort of manifest another world. And maybe this was your brain trying to protect you in some way, but you really created these sort of skills that not everybody has. I know I can say that I've never had an outer body experience. I wouldn't even say that, sexually having, gigantic orgasms or anything like that is outer body. I mean, it's very in the body, right? That's the closest that I can think of in terms of, my experience as a woman on this planet. So it's so interesting that you have these skills and this gift, really. So tell me how you transitioned and how you honed your skills, with this natural gift that you were really given, with the Merpati Putih art, and how you came to learn about this Indonesian healing method.
Yeah, perfect. Well, first, if I may, I'm going to back up just a little bit to what you said a moment ago, that most people believe that they have never had an out-of-body experience, and yet everybody does. We exist in many dimensions simultaneously. We're just only aware, usually, of what our 5 senses tell us, right? Or even our intuition. But we all, if you've ever had a dream that you knew was just absolutely real, most oftentimes that is your energy body and your consciousness, your astral body leaving, having adventures and coming back. So just to segue, and that's something that people can believe or not, but the cool thing is that we all have the ability to do this because we came from somewhere into here and we go somewhere else. All we have to do is not be as attached to this, and we can go and experience there, if you will, again, in many ways. So just a little bit. You can. You can. But as far as Marpati Putti, growing up, I always wanted to be a ninja and a Jedi. And growing up in a little farm town, that was going to happen. But yeah, the only martial arts that I got to practice was when I would beat up on my little brothers. And I was not the best big brother, I'll admit that. But we actually got really tough, like cowboy tough. Because, when you've got livestock and you have responsibilities and you don't eat if you don't take care of those responsibilities, it's like, you're going to do it. You're going to get it done no matter what. And so to segue back over, as far as Marpati Putti is concerned, I'd always been interested in the mystical ever since 12. Actually, before that, ever since I saw Jedis, I always wanted to be one. I just didn't think it was possible. So in 1998, when I ordered a course out of Black Belt magazine, that it guaranteed me inner power in 2 weeks, or I got my money back. I'm like, sold. I want Chi. That sounds great. 2 weeks. Don't have to go to China and become a monk. Sounds good. Well, I ordered this course. And
we all want the quick fix, right?
of course.
Yeah. It's the American way.
It is. Yeah, we want it yesterday, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I ordered this course, and it came with the chintziest little flimsy manual with little stick figures in there, and it was totally BS. But it did come with a VHS tape that showed Indonesian martial arts. Now, I knew about Chinese martial arts, Japanese. I even knew about the Russian martial arts and a bunch of different things, but I had never heard of Indonesian martial arts. And when I saw this, Eve, I was blown away. Just the movements are so powerful and graceful and beautiful that they don't look like any other martial art at all. Like, there are many systems in Indonesia, but they're all graceful. And they're all almost all of them are based upon combat, like warfare combat, not just one-on-one, but 1,000 on 1,000 battlefield combat. Well, it had people on there doing some amazing things. And when I say amazing, I mean, most people have seen people break bricks or boards, right? They've seen the karate people yell and scream and they're angry and they punch through a board. I had never seen people breaking steel bars and stacks of steel and stacks of iron and huge, like literally 20 feet tall stacks of bricks, like poured concrete, not cinder bricks, cement. Oh my God, you guys are incredible. But when I saw something else on there that I couldn't believe my eyes for a while, and that was people who were blindfolded or blind, and they were able to do anything you or I do. And when I say that, I mean riding bicycles through obstacle courses, driving cars through traffic in Jakarta. Now, anybody out there who's ever been to Asia and tried to drive there or seen the traffic, you just know that's like instant death for us. And these people are just no problem at all, blindfolded. And it even had military people who were shooting targets out of people's hands. And that really intrigued me because the military, any military, they don't mess around. They're serious. There's a heart attack. I mean, it's protection of a country. So you're not going to have people do things that are defective, right? So that was pretty cool. But then it showed blind people. Blind people, their eyes as white as a sheet, who could literally see vibrationally. And they could read texts off phones. They could read printed material. Anything that we could do with our eyes open and functioning, they could do. And I was so skeptical. I was like, no way, it can't be. But then I had what I call a synchrodestiny. Now, that's a synchronicity that changes your life from that instant. You are no longer the same. Well, that happened the next day after I got the tape. I watched the tape about 5 times because that's super cool. And then the next day, I watched a blind woman almost die in front of me trying to cross the street. And her dog didn't lead her across the street. It let her face first into the light pole right in front of my car. And it just hit me like a lightning bolt, like literally it was a palpable not palpable, I guess you'd say somatic feeling in my chest, like I got hit in my chest, that I had to find those people and see if they could help her. And I went on a mission. It wasn't like a polite request. This was a spiritual command. You will find those people. And I did. And they had no presence outside of Indonesia. There were thousands of schools there. But Merpati Putih, which in Indonesian means the white dove, which I thought that was amazing too, because when you think of martial arts and the animals that they represent, you think like black tiger or yellow dragon, something kind of aggressive and mean, or something that can fight. You don't really think of the, symbol of peace and justice and love as being a martial arts. I guess you'd call it mascot. Yes. So I thought that was really interesting, and I found out more about them. And I found out a couple of interesting things. They're not just a martial art. It's actually by far the most comprehensive energy work, meditation, and super sensory discipline in the world. By far, full stop, hands down. There's just nothing can compare to Merpati Putih as far as what it does to shape a human being, or to help a human shape themselves. Because there is not a guru that leads you to the promised land in this. This is through your own efforts you get there. And so things like building your internal power, your energy, which then we can break steel and stone and things like that without injuring ourselves. Usually, less focus isn't there. But then also our vitality, our virility, and our libido. This has saved a lot of marriages, Eve. I'll tell you what. I said it a while back, and people thought it was funny. I'm like, we're gonna bring bow-legged back again, because people, their drive goes through the roof when they start doing these breathwork exercise, because of what it does for our energy, but also our nitric oxide in our body, which is all Viagra does. It increases your ability to hold on to nitric oxide. That's all it does, and that's what creates that effect. So, as we know, nitric oxide is very healthy for our blood vessels and for many systems in our body. And the Merpati Putih system is truly unique. There's nothing like this breath work anywhere else. And so the nitric oxide goes through the roof, which is great. Then we also have energy healing, where we're able to help balance the energy of other people using our energy. So we're not a channel for the divine or energies outside of ourselves. We are the powerhouse. We are the storehouse of energy that we then help other people balance their energy out and let their body heal itself. Same thing with our body. And then the last discipline is the supersensory abilities. To see without your eyes is one, which few people could do that. But the cool thing is, with this, Merpati Putih, which is now, so I went through a phase there where I went from Merpati Putih, and nobody knows what that's called in this country. So then when my brother and I actually owned one of the largest martial arts schools in Utah for 20 years. But then last year, we decided to part ways in business and do our own thing to serve humanity in the ways that spoke to our heart. And so I went from Merpati Putih to the white dove method, which, that's English for what Merpati Putih means. But recently, I've changed from white dove method to the integrated ascension method, or the IM. That's for short. And because I've added so many things in there that is not included in the traditional Merpati Putih system of breathwork. So with that said, this ability to see without your eyes is just one of many skills that humans are capable of. And the ancient Egyptians, they said that we have 360 senses, not 5, 360. So what did they know 5,000 or 6,000 years ago that we've lost? There's been a lot of different technologies and cultures where we just have no idea what they were doing. All kinds of buildings throughout the world that they're like, we don't know why they built that. We have no idea. Nobody took credit for it. We don't know the purpose, but they're pretty amazing. And they seem to be lined up synchronistically with each other, like pyramids, thousands of pyramids all over. And why are they all the same angle? Why are they all oriented directly toward true north? And how did the people in South America and Central America and Africa, and which Egypt's obviously in the African continent, or in the Bosnian pyramid of the sun. Why are they all the same angle? Why are they all rotated or pointed
Aligned
exactly?
to the stars. Yes.
Well,
Mhm.
why?
Mhm.
What did they all know thousands of years ago? So we've lost a lot of this technology, and
I
that
agree.
also includes our ability to connect intimately with other people and their energy, which is something that when people take my courses, that's a natural byproduct. If people want to go deeper down that rabbit hole into, say, the tantric or the, I guess tantra is the buzzword because that comes out of India and that's what people know. But if you think about it, it's not so much what you call it as much as it is how much you enjoy it. And so this system on a physical level, it increases our desire and our stamina and our capabilities, both men and women, but then also energetic and a level of consciousness. It allows us, and this might get a little woo-woo for your crowd, and I'm sorry, bear with me, enjoy the physical part, but it helps us connect soul to soul in a deeper way, using breath, using focus, and using pure presence. And it turns the act of sex from a physical act into a multi-dimensional act.
Okay, I can see that. I can definitely see that. And it's not too woo-woo, right? We're not in touch with all of those things that you're talking about. We're maybe in touch with the physical, but the ancient knowledge has been lost to us. And I am a big fan of all of the shows about the pyramids. And you're absolutely right. All of those pyramids are so perfectly built. We can't even figure out the technology that they used in order to create them. And they're all aligned to the stars. And the ancients knew something that we didn't know, because really we know nothing about any of that stuff, right? We just can see it and, observe it here on earth and wonder. And so this is very interesting. The Merpati Putti is very interesting, or the white dove method, because it is an ancient, martial arts and breath work and everything. I don't even know what to call it because it's like so encompassing. And it allows you to connect with your body in a different way, and your spirit in a different way. And, you mentioned Tantra. Tantra is an Indian form of yoga, and it is, the way that you can connect with your partner to reach higher levels of consciousness, right? So this is exactly what you're talking about. So I would love for you to sort of expand on how, one, you can use what you're talking about to expand consciousness, and then two, give us some ideas of what you would teach someone to expand consciousness in their sexual lives.
Okay, absolutely. That sounds like a great idea. Well, first of all, I think that it's really important that we take a step back and realize that when we're in the act of lovemaking, I think that a lot of people have this misconception that it's two separate beings having an experience together, which it's not. It's one being having an experience together. So on a large level, and that just went way down the rabbit hole right on that one. But when it comes down to it, let's say somebody is Christian and they read in the Bible that Jesus said, treat thy neighbor as thyself. Okay. And now I'm not a religious person, as I mentioned before. There's no religion in my life, but let's say that you want to pursue that and look at that really what he said. When he said, treat thy neighbor as thyself, he was not saying treat them like you want to be treated. It's not the golden rule. He said, treat them as you are, because they are you. There is no difference. The only illusion, that's a big illusion. It's not the only illusion. There are many, but it's an illusion that we're separate. Because if you think about a large being that dips a finger in a glass of water to experience what the water is, that's all the experience of our life. Now imagine that there's billions or trillions of fingers going in there, all going back to one. So when we think of this all one concept, when I make love with my girlfriend, I'm making love to myself. So to look at it from that perspective, It's huge. It goes from being an act of pleasure or pleasing or pleasure for yourself to an act of divine communion. It really is. And what we can do with that. And now it's really hard to wrap your mind around that. If you haven't had, I've had a near-death experience. My body putti tests are really hard. We'll put it that way. I died and came back to life on one. Yeah, that's a story for another time. But this is something also that when we're in the throes of passion, how often are we truly present with our partner? We're not thinking about pleasing them. We're not thinking about our pleasure. We're just simply thinking and feeling into being with ourselves and with them as ourselves. That's a huge concept, but I have something right now. If you'd like, I can actually lead you through a small, short breathwork exercise that if you did this 5 minutes before you got down in your respective loving, you'll be more present with your partner. You'll also raise your nitric oxide level, and you'll have more energy and stamina right there. If you're game.
I am so game. I am so game. I love learning new techniques. And, if my partner and I both do this, sky's the limit on what we can experience together. And I love the concept that you just mentioned of, two beings coming together and creating one. And when you are, having a sexual experience, that really is what you're doing. You're taking two beings, your energies are coming together and you're having one experience together. And so, yes, please lead me through this.
Right. Now, if you talk, it messes it all up. I don't know why you didn't do that. So during this, I'll just have you go with the breathing exercise, enjoy it. I'm going to lead everybody through a little bit of inductance into relaxation. Now, this breath work is, I'll explain how to do this. It's very simple, but it's something that almost no one has ever done in their life, it seems like. So what we're going to be doing is breathing in through our nose fully. In through our nose, allowing, first of all, for our stomach to expand. A lot of people don't like that. That's okay. Like it. Breathe in. That's going to draw the air deeply into your lungs, where the majority of the oxygen is actually taken into your body. So breathe deeply. And once your stomach comes out, I'm going to have you inhale more into your chest. But we don't want to raise our shoulders. We don't want to tense our face or neck. We're going to remain relaxed as possible through the whole thing. So we inhale completely through into, like the stomach comes out and into the chest. Then we're going to exhale out our mouth, almost like we're whistling, until we have nothing left, until it's completely empty. And then we're going to squeeze a little bit more out. So it's a full breath. Studies have shown that over 90% of the population of the planet only uses about 15% of their lungs. That's it, 15. So we're going to be using about 80, I would say. So we breathe all the way in through the nose, and then we exhale out the mouth until there's nothing there. Squeeze a little bit more out. And we're going to do this in a very specific cadence. It's just a pendulum breath in and out, but it's going to be 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out, which science has shown is the perfect breath for the human body to put us into parasympathetic rest and digest state. And it lowers our blood pressure. It stops the production of so much cortisol. And it's a wonderful feeling. If your head explodes, you're welcome.
Yes. And, it really is just bringing you to the present moment, right? And increasing your nitric oxide, increasing your oxygen. I teach a very similar breathing exercise to my patients. When I go visit them and I take their oxygen, it's sometimes in the 80s, and they're sitting there thinking, that they're normal. And as soon as I teach them the breath work, the oxygen goes up to like 98% when they were at like 80, 85%. That is a huge difference. And it's a huge difference in how you feel energetically, how much energy you have to do things like exercise and other things. So bringing yourself to the present is so important when you're, going to have sex, right? Because you want to really enjoy all of it. And if you are thinking about, the laundry that needs to get done, or, the kids that you have to pick up, or whatever it is that's distracting you, you're not being in the present moment and you're not going to really enjoy yourself. So I can see that really being a beautiful connectivity exercise with your partner too, because you're both in it, coming into it, really being very present. And it's interesting because when I first started the breathing, I was really focused on my lungs and keeping my shoulders down and making sure my stomach raises and my chest raises. And I was thinking about all of that. But as soon as you introduced focus on your genitals, now suddenly I was feeling a whole lot of different things. And it's interesting how much we tune out, every day to, get things done. And you're really tuning out so many things. And I always find it very interesting for myself personally that when I'm about to get sick, if I have a busy work week, my body will tune out the sickness until I can have the time to focus on it. You know what I mean? Like I'll just keep going, pitching through, and my body will tune everything out until, I just remember when I was working a 9 to 5, 5 o'clock hit and suddenly, boom, my body was like sick as a dog. You know what I mean? And I was like running home to like get the medicine and go lay in bed and couldn't function. But your body, your body is so intuitive and it can really, get you through a lot. But you have to really listen to all of it too, and not always tune yourself out. As soon as I started focusing on my genitals, I started feeling spasms in my vaginal canal. I was feeling tingling in my vulva area. Like I became much more in tune. And you need that when you're having sex, right? You want to be fully in tune. So this is such a great exercise as a preliminary step to really connect with your partner. Is this something that you teach? I know that you teach this, for expanding your mind and all of that. And it has like the side benefit of, exploding your mind, right? Sexually. But I'm just curious, do you ever have any clients that are, really focused on, trying to make their sex lives better?
Sure. Yes and no. So it's not my main focus for my business. However, it is something that I do for my elite clientele, which that includes professional athletes and sports teams, CEOs and C-suites, but also influencers, celebrities. If they want, I tailor those programs to those individuals and what they would like to get out of it. So everything comes down, Eve. It all is based upon your breath. Everyone comes in with an inhale and we all leave with an exhale. But it's something that a lot of people don't ever focus on their whole life unless they're out of it. Unless they're out of breath, then they're focusing on it. But we have such an amazing ability to change our state and our state of awareness and actually elevate our consciousness. Now that directly correlates to amazing sex. So imagine this. And I encourage everyone out there that just enjoyed that breathing exercise of a full inhale, exhale, 5.5 second perfect rhythm. You can actually get that on my YouTube channel. I just released it a couple days ago. You can get that with some DMT breathing. It's a track that nobody else has produced like this. And do that, but then do the 5.5 second perfect breath with your partner while you're with them when you're making love, as you look into each other's eyes. As they exhale, you inhale for 5.5 seconds. And just if you want to imagine energy circulating between you, great. But just realize you're both the same being having an experience together on the highest level. That's the 50,000 light year view. But where does it say anywhere other than society and maybe our parents or our churches or our our teachers have said you cannot experience this 50,000 foot view? Every one of the avatars and sages have said, yes, you can, and it's your divine right to do so. Why not? And especially if you're having the most amazing sex of your life, that's an even better time to go and become one with the universe, which is you, which is them. And so it's not just a before, and it's definitely not just an after. It's a during sex thing as well. And enjoy that. Men, you will notice that your stamina goes through the roof. You're not, if you have had issues with ED or, well, just say crossing the finish line a lot too soon. When you breathe and you're totally present with your partner, just notice. It may not be the first time, may not be the fourth time, fifth time, but after time, you will notice that you're able to last longer. Your orgasms are much stronger. You also feel so much more connected to your partner that it changes everything. It changes everything. And for men especially, our orgasms are very much centralized in one location where we feel it. Women, your whole body just explodes, and there are like 20 kinds of female orgasms, which, yeah, lucky you. But for men, there are different things that we can do where we can have multiple orgasms. We can have non-ejaculatory orgasms. We can have full body orgasms. We can have transcendental orgasms. The reason why is because we're all energy that just happens to have a body at this time. And when we tap into that, the larger aspect of ourselves through this breath work, through my integrated ascension method will teach a lot of things that will help you do that. And then you just simply modify it for what you're doing. To boardroom meeting, awesome. Screaming kids, awesome. Making love with your partner, awesome. These are all amazing experiences that we get to have, and we signed up and authorized every single one of them, no matter good, bad, or ugly. We're here to have experience. So why not have the very best one you possibly can? And that's what I'm
all in.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Anytime you can say, have even better sex, I'm like, okay, sign me up, because, it is the way adults play. And, why not really fully enjoy it? And if there's ways to enhance that and you already enjoy sex, why not learn new methods to enhance that for yourself and for your partner and for your communion together, because as you said, you become one, in that moment and in that experience. And it's such a beautiful thing. I ask this question to all of my podcast guests, so I hope you're not uncomfortable with the question. But I would love to ask you what your favorite sex position is.
Okay. all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I really big fan, always have been, always will be, of the mutual pleasure of 69.
Okay. I love that. And you're the first person, and you're a man that chose something that wasn't penetration. So hallelujah to that, because, most men focus on the penetration, and that's what we see in movies and, everywhere really. And, that is not the way that women orgasm. And so you just chose something that's pleasuring your woman, or your partner, and, and then she's pleasuring you in the same way. Or I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't have sex with the woman. I didn't ask that question, but I'm just assuming.
Yeah. Like I said before, yeah, I definitely found out when my friend's penthouse, his dad's penthouse, I found out I'm straight.
Oh, that's right. You did say that at the beginning. Okay.
Very early.
That's right. You did say that at the beginning. Okay. So, you chose something that, is mutually pleasuring yourself and also your female partner, and getting her ready for maybe penetration down the line. But yeah, 69 is a lot of fun. Can you tell me why you like that? Because it seems like it's a position that, because you're connected, in that way, is sort of like, you're creating that energy, right? So
Correct.
Can you expand on that? Because I'm just visualizing. You have my mind going.
Sure. First I'm like, breathe into your privates. Well, okay. So like I said, if I've seen those penthouse magazines, and at that time there was no penetration, there were no men in the magazines, it was women. So I was like, I really like the look of that. I really want to see that up close as much as possible. And so now, even to this day, I'm like, I really just enjoy the view. I think that a vulva is a beautiful thing. We all came from that. And I'm like, to quote, I can't remember who it was, what comedian said that as soon as they came out, they wanted to get right back in. It was Dave Chappelle. Like, yeah, as soon as that all, I want to get right back in. And that's definitely me. And so I love that one because I can have that pleasure that's happening with me, but I also have that ability to, the visual is amazing, and the pleasure there where we're having reciprocity in the pleasure. And what can I, other than that, there's many other things. I love the energetic interaction of that. And I mean, I'm a big fan of just stop sex, go have a sandwich, come back together, and just, it's like, it can be an all day thing. It doesn't have to be a must climax, or have an orgasm. Sometimes I'll have sex and it's like, it was helping, well, not helping. It was giving pleasure to my woman. And sorry if that offends anybody, but I'm like,
not at all. I wouldn't.
My partner. Yeah, she's my partner. But for me, that's really where it comes down to is I love the mutual pleasure. I love the view. Men are quite visually stimulated. I'm definitely, I'm not one of the blind people that I have worked on helping for 24 years. So I enjoy that. That's the main thing. And the energetic transference there, it's just a beautiful thing. And whether it leads to climax or not, I'm really impartial to that. It's just the communion. I've always found it funny, Eve, that we go through this act with each other that brings us so close together. And then most people, when they have an orgasm, they're like in another realm. They're not with their partner. It takes us apart from each other at that moment. I just have always thought that's kind of interesting. I'm like, we're so much like this. And then when it's time for the release, we're like this. It's momentary, and then we come back together, sure. But I love it all. I love it all.
If you're intentional about it, you come back together, right? And so a couple of podcasts ago, I had Julietta Chiara, who is a kink and sex expert and BDSM expert. And we were talking about aftercare, which is, a concept that came from the BDSM world. But that is the time after sex, right? In aftercare, where you are really connecting with your partner. And if you, have an orgasm and then jump out of bed and, go pee and then take a shower and that, like all of these things that you do, and then you don't come back, and you're not creating that safe space for aftercare, you're really missing a big part of it. And the connection is really what you're talking about here.
Yes, absolutely. It's that the afterplay is so important. Foreplay, obviously, great, wonderful. During, absolutely, yes, love it. That's how we all got here, right? There's not a single person walking here like
exactly
for this that did not get here through that method and through the thing that we're talking about. Yeah, we're taught to be so ashamed. Of course, they can have crime dramas and they can have all kinds of murder on TV, and that's just fine. But you saw one boob, oh, the world falls apart. All right.
That's so true. We see such gore and, such hatred and anger and war and it's constant. And, coming to a space of love and a space of connection, this is really where it's at. This is really where transcendence occurs, right? And so if you can really learn how to hone that, you're going to create a better life for yourself. So with that being said, I want to make sure that my listeners can find you. So can you let us know where we can find you?
Sure, absolutely. So we're on this. This is a perfect website for this because I really think that this is such a sexy website name. I don't know how I was able to get it other than divinely called it in. But my website name is iampure.energy. So it's not .com, it's iampure.energy. So if I was a plumbing supply place, I Am Energy would not really be the website to have, but considering what I do, I Am Pure Energy, that fits like a glove. So iampure.energy, people can go and get a free energy shielding and mental shielding class from me, as well as my new ebook, which is called Awakening Transformation. They can also find me online, of course, in normal places, Integrated Ascension Method, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and my YouTube channel. I've got that free meditation that I just produced. It's a DMT with the perfect breath combined. DMT breathing with the 5 minutes of the perfect breath. Do that before anything. Just do that at the start of every single day, and you'll have an amazing, at least you'll have much more energy, more clear energy every single day. So that's the place. Find me. Come find me at iampure.energy. And I look forward to hearing how you use this in your life and enjoy it. Life is here. We're here to play. That's what we came here to have experience and play as a soul on the playground of the earth school. So do it. And the tools that we have available to us are just amazing, but you have to take them out of the toolbox. So I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much. I really do agree with that. I mean, we are here to play, and I always say that sex is our adult playground. So explore, try to think out of the box and try different things. Try, to really figure out what works best for you, and try different things just to experiment and to expand, on your skills, because we can all learn something new. And so I absolutely love having this conversation with you. And I thank you for being on the podcast. And you mentioned just a few seconds ago, erectile function and premature ejaculation, which is something that is a precursor of erectile dysfunction. And, these are conditions that I treat in my physical therapy practice. So if that's you out there, definitely do the breath work. And if that's not bringing enough nitric oxide, to that penis or, vagina, and you're having decreased vaginal sensitivity and dryness, please reach out to me on pleaseme.online. I am here to help you with those conditions as well. So thank you so much, Nate, for being on the podcast today. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, Eve. It's been an honor and pleasure to be here. And I wish everybody out there an amazing now on purpose.
Nice. Thank you so much. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Visit pleaseme.online to reach Eve or for more information on products to increase blood flow and overall health, for her curated list of her favorite toys, and for swag that shows that you are a big fan. Please consider supporting the show.